going for like last year's model.
All right. Hey, can we like acknowledge ourselves for even showing up? And I want to start out by welcoming you to A Course of Love. I see there are several new faces in the house, and so I just want to welcome you and just tell you pretty much what the guidelines are for the class. The guidelines for the class is and all of us need to remember really, is that you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to welcome it. Some of the things I say may seem to be hard to believe and quite startling. You know, you might just say, that's hard to believe. Some of the things I say, you're going to want to judge, you're going to want to analyze, but just try to keep in mind that you don't have to welcome it, you don't have to accept it.
Whose ring is that?
That's my ring.
I know, but I mean,
That's my ring.
I don't accept it.
That's my ring.
That means you're calling yourself?
No, that's right. I'm calling myself. I'm calling myself. I tell you, I need to do all my classes in this little room. I swear to God, when I'm downstairs and there's enough room for a whole coliseum of people to be 10 of us. Every time I come up here, it's packed. It's really weird, isn't it?
Call it the sardines.
Yeah, it's really funny. So I just knew I was gonna have more chairs than I needed tonight, but that's cool. I'm glad that you're here. So anyway, the whole purpose of being here is that we are here to listen to some other ways of looking at things that we can accept and not accept. It's called A Course of Love. And I'm just going to dive off in and get started. And what I always suggest to people is, I don't believe that there's any such thing as an accident. So if you're here, it's not an accident. So what I would invite you to do is look at it not as if you're coming to something that somebody's trying to convince you or something or convert you or teach you. Look at it from the perspective of, it's no accidents, I'm here. There's a possibility that there could be something that someone says tonight that might be helpful, it might be an answer to something I've been wondering about. So what I would invite you to do is look for your particular sentence, or the thing that makes you go, oh, okay, this is why I ended up here, besides the fact that I was drugged. You know? All right? So be on the lookout for your statement. And what I'm going to do is give about 10 minutes of material, throw it over for questions and discussion, do about another 10 more minutes, 5 minutes. But that way we'll keep moving through the material and not get hung up on the analyzation of it. And so we left off, for those of you who have the book, we left off on page 227, and we left off at paragraph 20. We left off at paragraph 26. We're going to start at 26:19, if you got it. Okay, so what the new approach is that we're being told to take in case we want a different life, here's the thought that I'd like for you to use to kind of like make sense of everything that's being said tonight. The thought I'd like to invite you to use is, I give everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. So I want you to think about the fact that whatever I say or whatever I hear, you're the one that's giving it all the meaning that it has for you. Everybody with me on that? Yeah. You're the one that's interpreting what's going on. You're the one that's judging what's going on. Everything that you are experiencing tonight is coming from your own judgments. It's coming from your own interpretations. What you are experiencing tonight is not coming from what I'm saying. It's coming from your interpretation of what I'm saying. So it's your interpretation of what I'm saying that's determining the way that you respond to what you hear. So really the truth is, it's ultimately you that's giving yourself the class. Because it's you that's interpreting and judging what you're hearing, and then you're reacting to whatever you tell yourself you're hearing. Does that make sense to everybody? You know, like nobody in this room is responding to me directly. Everybody in this room is responding to their interpretation of me. So you're responding to what you're telling yourself right now. You're not actually responding to nothing that's going on in the room. you're reacting to what you're telling yourself about what's going on in the room. Okay, so that means there are as many different Earls as it is people sitting out there. Okay, and so all of you are dealing with a different me. So keep that in mind. So when you're responding, remember you're the one that's giving yourself the interpretation that's giving you that response, and that's true all day long, all night long, all the time. So basically, the way that we feel, we're the one that's choosing it because we're the ones who are interpreting what's going on. So if you feel bad right now, the only reason why you feel bad right now is because it's something you're telling yourself right now. And what you're telling yourself right now is what's making you feel the way you feel right now. You don't have to believe that, you don't have to accept that, you don't have to welcome that. Okay? So we're talking about how can we get it. We left off last week talking about how could we greet our new self and how could we find our real self within this day. And the Course of Love says it requires no new plans. It asks not that you make any decisions. It asks not that you do anything new. This is an invitation from love to love. It only asks that you be open and allow giving and receiving as one to take place. It asks only that you be unoccupied with the old so that the new may arrive. If you want a new experience of yourself, it asks only that you listen to your heart and let yourself be heard. I cannot tell you here. I cannot. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
This is unbelievable.
It is. It is. It's unbelievable.
It's cool.
We want to experience cozy oneness.
Wow.
It's obvious that you know. It's really interesting. I'm glad, but it's just funny. It's so funny. All right. I cannot tell you here what you will hear. How can I, when each of you will hear the answer of your heart? The calling of love to love inviolate. The answer that only you can hear. There is no mold, there is no form, there's no stock answer. This is why all answers have disappointed you in the past. Your answer is not the same as anyone else's answer. So when you check within to follow your guidance, to get your guidance from higher power, the Course of Love says your answer is not the same as anybody else's answer. So in order to be true to ourselves and really enjoy ourselves and get in touch with the potential of our existence, the first thing we got to stop doing is not following our heart and listening to what everybody else is saying to us and not really paying attention to what our heart is saying. So the purpose of my classes are always to support people in going within themselves for their guidance, follow their own inner guidance, and get in touch with how to hear that and how to recognize their own inner guidance. So nothing is, in my classes is about following me. I have absolutely no desire to be a leader or a follower, because in either one of those roles you're going to get crucified. When somebody wants to be the follower and you don't feel like being the leader, they mad at you. And then when you decide to be the leader and they feel like they don't want to be the follower, they mad at you.
Right.
So I don't need to be a leader. I don't need to be a follower. What I want is to have people walking beside me, because then I'm not moving alone. If I'm the leader, I'm by myself, and if I'm a follower, sometimes I'm by myself. But if I am walking with you, then I'm not alone. Right. So what we want to do is recognize that your answer is not the same as any other answer. No matter how filled with wisdom one person's answer might be, the Course of Love says it's not your answer. And also, here's another tip. If you want to get somebody's opinion about something, or you want to get somebody's advice about something, remember, no one with a personal investment is a reliable witness. So if you're going to ask somebody, don't ask somebody with a personal investment, because if they got a personal investment, they're going to slight the answer in the direction of their investment. So it's much more important when you want to get advice from someone to talk to someone who doesn't have a personal investment in the outcome. You know, so you don't ask your girlfriend, is it okay to go out with another woman tomorrow night? She has a personal investment in most cases, so she's not going to be like, oh yeah, I could be real objective about that. Matter of fact, I'll drop you off. Where you want to go? You know, Now you will be on a level of consciousness one day that will happen, but I doubt if any of us, too many of us, are around that right now. You know, there are people in the world that are that secure in their relationships that they really wouldn't be bothered, and that's a good thing. Then it goes on to say, you are a thought of God. You are an idea. This thought or idea is what you seek. It can be found only at its source. Its source is love, and its location is in your own heart. So the course of love is asking us to take a stand today. Is our source love or is our source fear? Is our source we're separate or is our source that we're joined? Are we love or are we fear? Are we one or are we separate? And then it goes on to say, you are a thought of God. You are an idea. That's deep. You are an idea. That makes a lot of sense when you really think about it, because there's not nothing that we can look at around us that's not the result of an idea.
Right.
Right? Show me one thing in this room that's not the result of an idea. So the course of love takes it a step further and says, so are you. Something thought of you too. Just like something thought of this book and thought of this class, something thought of you. And then it says that you are an idea, but you can only be found at your source. And your source is love. So whether we believe it or not, we are love. Whether we believe it or not, we were created by love.
Love that.
Yeah. Now, what I love is that the truth of something has nothing to do with whether or not I believe it. So I don't have to believe that I'm loved for me to be loved. So it's really not about whether you believe what I said is true, but if you believe what I said is true, then you will see a witness to the truth of it. Because you see what you believe. So at the point that I begin to believe that I'm loved, that's when I'll start to perceive the love all around me. People who believe that there's no love out there is because that's not what they believe in and that's not what they're looking for. And your outer reality is always a reflection of what you think and what you believe.
Wow.
So everything that you are experiencing is coming from your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. Your conscious thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs, and your unconscious thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. If you want to get in touch with what your subconscious mind believes, all you have to do is open your eyes and look at your personal world. Your personal world is a reflection of your subconscious beliefs. And we have a tendency to think that we are what we think we are. And the truth is, we are not what we think we are. We are what we were created to be. And we just heard that was love. So I'm going to take a stand tonight. And my stand is, I am love. I was created by love and I am love, but I don't always know it. So what I want to do is get rid of every thought, feeling, emotion, and belief that keeps me from recognizing that I am love. So my job is to remove, with the help of spirit, my job is to remove everything that keeps me from knowing that I am love, and have every thought, feeling, and emotion and belief removed that keeps me from knowing you are love. Does that make sense to everybody so far? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
because that's my only problem. I might be it, but I don't see it. I might be it, but I don't see it. I might be it, but I don't see it. Why don't I see it? I don't see it because I haven't accepted it's true. And since I haven't accepted it as true, then I see the opposite of it. So your physical reality and your physical senses are lovely liars. They show you what you believe, but not necessarily what the truth is.
Wow.
So if you believe that you are not enough, if you believe that you are lonely, if you believe you can't be loved, then you will draw people to you that will show you that that's true. So if I think all women are no good, then every woman that is, I wouldn't see her, and every one that isn't would be the one I'd focus in on. Then I would see myself get mistreated. Then I'd get a chance to be right about my perception that all women are no good. But I don't realize I'm just getting a validation of the belief that I have. That's all. So your perception will always back up your belief. That's why I don't argue with people about whatever it is they say they believe or whatever it is they say they see, because I know they are. If they say you can't trust anybody, I know in their world that's true. And they draw everybody to them that's not trustworthy because they believe that nobody's trustworthy, so they meet all the crooks. Which makes them believe nobody in the world is loving and cool, but they don't realize they're just getting a reflection of their own belief. So the thought that we want to take right now is that we are truly an idea, but we are an idea that was created by love. Good premise?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the purpose of a relationship then would be to help reinforce that idea in each other. So if I was going to form a relationship with somebody, I would want to form a relationship with somebody that the purpose of our relationship would be to remind us that we are loved, that we are lovable, and that we were created by love. Rather than forming a relationship with somebody that all we do is witness to each other that we are not loving, that we're selfish, that we are not kind, and that we're guilty. So there are two kinds of relationships in the world. There is a relationship where the two people involved are reinforcing the idea of their guilt and their fear And then there's another kind of relationship where the two people are reinforcing the idea of their innocence and that they're loving and that they're lovable. And we all had them, right? As a matter of fact, you know exactly who to call when you want to feel bad. Everybody know those people. Everybody know that when they want to feel guilty, they know exactly who to call. And then when we want to really feel cool about ourselves, we know exactly who to call, right? And so our personal relationships should be witnesses to the fact that we're loving and to the fact that we're lovable. Okay, I'm going to do one more paragraph and then I'm going to throw it open for a discussion for a little bit. He says, think a moment of a novel or a movie with no plot. This would be the same as saying that there was no idea brought to completion within the pages or in the film. In God's idea of you is all that is known about you. The Creator's idea of you is perfect, and until now your form has been but an imperfect representation of God's idea.
Okay.
In God's idea of you is the pattern of the universe, much as within a novel, movie, piece of music, invention, or artistic idea is the completion of the pattern that will make that idea a masterpiece. An idea is irrevocably linked with its source. An idea is one with its source. Thus, there was no God separate from you to have this idea of you. You were birthed in union with God's idea of you. So if I have an idea, the idea never leaves my mind, even though the idea extends out. The idea never leaves its source. If I have the idea of going to the movie, the idea of the movie, going to the movie is still in my mind. So it hasn't left its source, right? And then if you join me with that idea, I still got the idea. Now you got the idea. Now the idea is bigger, but I still didn't lose the idea. So when you share something real, every time you share it, it increases it and you don't lose it. When you share something that's not real, it always looks like you've lost something. Right? So if we are an idea, then we are still linked with the idea that created us. Just like if I have an idea, that idea is still linked to me that created the idea. It's still in my mind. Right? I mean, can you see that?
Yeah.
If I have an idea of going to the movie, that idea is still in my mind. So therefore, if we are ideas, we must still be in the mind that thought of us. Just be with that for a second. Don't let the smoke come out your ears or anything like that. Just gotta be with it for a second. All right?
One more time.
Okay. An idea never leaves its source. So every time you have an idea, it never leaves your mind.
Right.
So if you are an idea, which you know you are because you exist, so something thought of you, then you must also be inside the mind that thought of you. So you are still, in other words, we're still linked to that which created us. And then people say, well, why don't I see it? The reason why I don't see it is because of what I've learned. And what I've learned and what I've experienced is keeping me from recognizing that connection. Because I'm still seeing what I believe. And if I believe there is no evidence of a creator, I will not see it. If I'm open and receptive to the idea that I have a creator, then I will begin to see evidence of it. So I'm going to keep going back to that, the whole class. You're going to always see what you believe is true, but that doesn't make it true. But you'll see what you believe is true, but that doesn't make it true. And then you'll draw to you people who believe what you believe, and then we'll call that a culture. That's what we call society. It's just a group of us believing the same thing together, right? So what we want to do then, if we want to have the idea of being loving and lovable, if we want that idea to become stronger, then we have to join with other people who also want to have that idea and manifest that idea, even though we all don't believe it yet. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
If I want to love myself more because I don't love myself enough, then I should join with other people who also want to love themselves so that we can all join together on the idea of letting go of the blocks that keep us from loving ourselves. Because it'll be easier for me to do it with you than do it by myself, because at least I got a witness that I'm not the only one who really wants to love themselves.
Plus you get tips.
Plus you can get tips, and you can watch and you can learn from their experience, and they can learn through your experience. So I'll say this one more time. An idea is linked with its source, and one with its source, and so we are ideas in the mind that created us, so we're still connected to our source. few questions that I wrote out. That's like a quick review of what we covered so far before I throw it open. We talked about this last week. What is one of the hardest things to believe that that effort is not called for? One of the hardest things to believe is that what we're being asked to do does not take effort.
Do nothing.
What we're being asked to do takes willingness. How can you receive your heart's desires? By accepting the truth. Because it's through the truth that you're able to manifest your heart desires. What is the truth? The truth is that to wholly desire is to create. You are a creator. You were created by a creator, so therefore you have creative power yourself.
That's right.
And as a matter of fact, you have so much creative power that you created the reality that you're experiencing right now. How you like it. How do you feel about the reality? How do you feel about the one you created in this moment? It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of juicy, cute people in this room. I'm telling you, Lord have mercy. I'm a black man. Yeah. All right. Then it says, do you know that happiness does not require you to define it or put a name to it before it can be yours? That's deep. In other words, you could be happy without knowing what would make you happy.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, maybe what would make you happy is something that you haven't even thought of. And maybe the reason you're not happy today is because you're insisting on defining what you think it is that will make you happy, rather than letting happiness come to you. And then letting happiness come to you by removing the blocks inside your own mind that would not allow it to come. So what would be the block that would keep me from letting happiness come to in my life? Every idea that I have that says I don't deserve it. Every grievance that I have. Every insecurity that I have. Those are all the thoughts that block me from letting the happiness in, because I tell myself I don't deserve it. Right? And if I think I don't deserve it, even when someone shows up who's loving and kind and giving, I will not be attracted to them. I won't want to spend time with them, and I won't be turned on to them, because I need people that witness back to me what I believe about myself, and I don't believe I deserve it yet, because I'm still feeling guilty about what I did prom night. Okay, so I can't. With somebody loving show up, I'm not going to be able to receive it. So right now, if you're not happy for whatever reason, make it okay for you not to know exactly how happiness should come to you, and focus on the idea that you're willing for it to come to you, even if you don't know how. That would be the fast way. Because most people are slowing it down because they think they've got to think of what it is and how to do it, rather than working on, let me get rid of the blocks that keep it from naturally coming to me. Right? Do you know that the first thing you need to do to have happiness is to stop trying to put a name on it?
Oh, dear.
Are you not ready to listen to a new voice? Aren't you ready to listen to a new voice? I mean, aren't you tired of listening to the voice that tells you that to be afraid of this, to be afraid of that, to be on the lookout for this isn't going to work for you, how am I going to make it, how am I going to pay that bill, what's going on? Oh my God. I had this really deep burning sensation when I peed. You want to go beyond.
I just
All right, Grant?
I got my depends on
You and me both, brother.
I knew I would be able to get out of the room, so my special.
In other words, thoughts of fear. Yeah, there are only two voices. Yeah, there's only two voices. There's one voice that we're using that's always telling us what we need to be afraid of, and then there's another voice that we're using that makes us aware that we're safe.
And it sounds the same.
It sounds just like you.
That it sounds the same.
Yeah, it's your own voice. So really, the difference between the two is not how they sound, but what they're telling you. So you have to know how to tell the difference between when you're telling yourself something that's going to block you, limit you, and when you're telling yourself something that's going to free you.
Cool.
Right?
Right.
So Spirit is asking us, are we not ready to listen to a new voice? Okay. Any questions, any comments, any ahas? It's perfectly okay. Nobody has to agree with anything that I've said. And at the same time, if there's any way I can clarify anything I've said, or there's some revelation you have, we can do it.
Could you go a little further with? I'm intrigued by this line. You are a thought of God, an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it, and yet I'd like you to expand on that just a little bit. Would you, or can you?
Well, I don't know what I could say that's that much different from what I've already said, is that you were created, so you have a creator. You are an idea because everything we see.
Because everything is an idea, right?
Right, and so are you.
Okay.
Everything is an idea, so are you. But what you are seeing in your life is the reflection of your ideas.
Okay, that I can.
Okay.
I can.
Right. So you were created, but you also made the way you're seeing your world. See,
Okay.
you were created. Just like my kid. If my kid did not create himself, but he can't make up playing with his toy soldiers. So he can make his experience even though he didn't create himself. And so what we're being asked to do is to try to reconnect with that which created us, because that's where our peace is located. It's like the same, it's like the same force that created the cow is the same force that created the grass for the cow to eat. It wasn't like the cow was created and then he had to come up with, going to McDonald's, you know what I'm saying? So it's like what the cow needed to sustain himself was created at the same time that the cow was. We forget that we were created, so we also forget that which sustains us is also available to us also. And so we're busy trying to make it up. So here's the deep part, brother. If I'm an idea, then that which sustains me must ultimately be ideas.
That's wild.
Yeah, and the ideas that I focus in on, that's what's creating what it is I'm experiencing in my physical body right now, or what I'm drawing to me in my physical body. So there's nothing more important than the ideas that I have in my mind.
Right.
Because my physical reality is going to be a reflection of that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's nothing. So that means that there's no situation that any of us are going through right now that we can't change our experience of it by simply remembering that we were created by love and ask. Like we forget we can ask. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah.
You just said that the alignment of that source is the idea of the idea, and we retain that and follow through.
Well, most people, they don't have the courage of their own convictions.
Exactly.
And they need validation from everybody around them before they'll follow their heart.
Right.
Everybody's got to agree that it's okay for you to do it before you do it. And everybody that's really happy have been people who followed their own heart.
So we follow.
It's hard to step out of that, though.
Because we've been programmed. We've been programmed to be part of the herd. Even though we're complaining all the way.
Right.
But if I have, see, the only reason why a person isn't happy and fulfilled is because they're not fulfilling their function. And everybody here has a special function. Everybody here has their own special and unique gift to offer. But what happens is when we get here, everybody starts telling us what it is we should want and what would make us happy and what we should buy and what we should aspire to. And we stop listening to getting in touch with our own special gift. There is no competition when you're true to yourself because there's nobody else like you. So if you really be true to yourself, there is no competition. And you'll be fulfilling a role that nobody else can fill but you.
Exactly.
So you get a chance to be special, and at the same time, you get a chance to be doing what you love, which is why you're going to feel good doing your special function. So I'm doing my special function. There's nobody else that does what I do exactly the way that I do it, so I can relax and do it because there is no competition if I'm being true to myself.
Right.
It's only competition when I'm not being true to myself. Because there is no one else like me exactly in this form. And that's true of everybody in this room. So most people are bored because they're following somebody else's path and not their own. You can't be bored on your path. You're bored when you follow the path that somebody told you should be on. So if you're dissatisfied with your job, your relationship, and anything else that you're dealing with, it's because you're acting out somebody else's script and you're not following your own heart. But that takes courage, because then there's not a lot of people around you that can necessarily validate what you're doing.
Precisely.
So most people would much rather have everybody agreeing with them than follow their heart. So this spiritual path that you're on is a path of heart. It's a path of heart. I'm going to pass this around if you'd like to be on the contact list, because I do a lot of classes and workshops and cool stuff together. And if you'd like to know about some of the stuff, please put your name and email down there. So anybody else before? Anybody hear a statement that they found they had a lot of resistance to? Anybody hear a statement that they found made them feel lighter and better?
Definitely.
What was yours?
Also,
This is the theme that's been going on for a couple of years, being at these meetings, is that I'm realizing more and more, feeling it in my mentally, intellectually, but spiritually, emotionally, that I am extremely freaking powerful, and I have all the power in my life, and I have control of that. That's cool. That's, like you would say, that's deep. That's sweet. Because therefore I'm in charge of my happiness, and therefore in charge of not being sad, being upset, things like that.
That's right.
I grew up thinking I didn't have any control over this stuff. If it's gonna be a rainy day, I'm gonna be sad because I can't go play. Rather than but the alternatives. That's just a real quick, easy way to put it. But, a rainy day in my head, I can't, now I know I can start that day over again, but before I didn't think so. I thought,
I'm giving it all the meaning it has for
sucky
me.
day.
I'm giving the rainy day all the meaning it has for me.
That's right.
Yeah, right. So it's not the rainy day that's making me feel bad. It's
So
the meaning I'm giving to the rainy day that's making me feel bad.
Right.
Because everything in the world is neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It's what you're going to use it for. That's another biggie from the Course, is that everything is neutral, and it's only going to be what you use it for. He says everything is neutral, but we don't have neutral thoughts.
Right.
Right? So it's neither good. I'm neither good nor bad, but you're not going to have a neutral idea about me. And whatever that neutral idea is that I am, it's going to be your perception that determines your experience of me.
Right.
Yeah. So there is no neutral thoughts. We don't have any neutral thoughts, but all things are neutral. That's deep.
It is deep.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
yet again,
cool.
empowering.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten, and you said this a long time ago, it's gonna get deeper and deeper and stronger and stronger and stronger. Hold on for the ride, and which I feel I have, and it's just, I just feel each week more empowered each day, more empowered, and therefore, with me at least, happier. I've been getting happier by the day
Exactly.
because I got the power over the day.
Well, think
the
about
power.
it. Think about it. What could be better than for somebody to remind you of the power that you have within yourself, and not to make you dependent on them? And people who don't love themselves are constantly trying to make other people dependent on them, because that is how they get their value. And when you begin to love yourself, you don't need that kind of validation. All you want to do is share the love that you are, because you're not trying to get anything from anybody anyway, because you know everything that you need is going to come from within you, and you're going to attract it to you anyway.
That's right.
So really, you're free.
We'll make one last point here. I'm a designer. I needed pats on the back on a regular basis. I needed them. I thought I needed them, or else I'm less than. And that feeling and that need has been switched over to me patting myself in the back and needing it less and less and less and less. And it was even commented to me by my boss. He's going, man, you just aren't the kind of needy, I'm paraphrasing, needing a pat on the back kind of guy you started out as when you started here. And he speaks the truth.
That's the truth.
It's
That's what I'm
true.
saying. You change your mind about yourself, your boss changes his mind about you.
That's right.
Right. That's what's so cool
Right.
about all of it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
he
saying?
perceives
It's like
me
I changed my
differently now.
mind and all of a sudden my relatives changed. I
Yeah.
changed my mind and all of a sudden everything around me changed, you know. That's the easy way. Now if you really want to do it the hard way, then set it up where everybody else has got to behave a certain way or act a certain way or be a certain way for you to be happy. You're talking about a losing situation. You set your life up that everybody's got to act out your script in order for you to be happy. You messed up. But if I set it up where I'm the one that's determining the meaning I give to everything, then I'm the one that's in charge of how I'm feeling in every situation. You know, because I can give all of you a meaning that makes me feel good about you, and that's what I've done. Right? I'm seeing you as an opportunity for me to recognize the truth about myself, and then I also know that my purpose for being here with you is to remind you of how loving and lovable you are, and I don't care if you believe me. Because whether you believe me or not does not determine whether what I'm saying is true. Thank goodness. Because why would you not side with the idea that you're loving and you deserve love anyway? The mere fact that you would not want to side with that idea shows you that there's something going on you might need to take a look at. If you're suspicious of someone that says you deserve to follow your heart and that you're connected to source and that you are love and that's the person you're afraid of, then you're afraid of acknowledgement. And now you wonder why nobody's complimenting you. You just witnessed that that's frightening to you. The universe is reflecting back to you your own belief. So if you don't want to recognize yourself and you are suspicious of people who recognize you, that's the same as saying, I feel safe around people who don't recognize me. And then you go, well, that's what I'm already surrounded by. People who don't compliment me like I would like them to, don't acknowledge me like I'd like them to, don't give me love and affection. Well, you're suspicious of people who are that way. People who are that way frighten you. Well, then that means you're asking for the alternative, which are people that's not like that at all. And so that's why you're surrounded by people who don't give you affection and don't give you acknowledgement. They are actually the ones you feel the safest with. And people who are loving would scare the hell out of you. Because if you don't love yourself, you're suspicious of people who are loving. You believe that they got to have a game. It's something they're trying to get from you. Because it's hard to even imagine that someone could see that much good in you. Because you don't see it in yourself yet. So, I mean, you can fall in love with people if you want to who don't love themselves, but you better get ready for some serious high maintenance work. So I hope the sex is great. Okay.
There's not enough room.
Huh?
Nothing, never mind.
It's okay. Oh yeah, for those of you who are new to the class, we just talk like people talk. We're not trying to be holy and all that kind of stuff. That's the thing that makes it so cool. I can't stand classes where people trying to act holy. Okay, we just down to earth trying to look at another way of looking at things, talking the way adults talk. That's the way I like it.
We've got naked before.
You know. I guarantee you, if that had happened, there wouldn't be nobody in here.
Well,
It wouldn't be. No. Yeah.
I hope not in this room.
Well, let's go to the next paragraph. It says blah, 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 that you are an idea. No. Okay. This doesn't need to be understood. Thank God. I say it again. This does not need to be understood. That's great since I don't understand what the hell you're talking about. Okay. But only accept it to the extent you can accept it. So just accept as much of this as you can accept. This is necessary because of your reliance on a God who is other than you for the provision of your answers. Acceptance of your birth in unison with God's idea of you is acceptance of yourself as the co-creator of the pattern of the universe. Acceptance of the idea or the story that is you. Can you not see that you were birthed into a place in the pattern of God's creation? It's kind of funny. It's like we say that we see patterns all in nature, but then when someone tells us that we're part of a pattern, we say, really? It's like you're not. It's like we act like we're like external to everything, looking back at it, rather than understanding we are just as much a part of the environment as a bird is. But humans have a tendency to feel like they are observing thought I had cut this off. I must still want
That's quite the juicy ring you got there,
Yeah, now
buddy.
who's that?
Wow.
And I can't even find it. Okay. What's really funny is that I don't really get that many phone calls. I just get, all I get is text messages. So I must be talking some good stuff, man. I'm really, part of me is trying to interrupt my mojo. I'm telling you. Oh, God. All right. Remember, what loves you comes towards you, what fears you moves away from you. So that's a quick way to tell whether or not somebody's attracted to you or not. If they're running away from you, it's a good chance they're not your soulmate. Okay, if you happen to chase them down the street, it's a good chance that might not be the one. But if it's somebody that's moving toward you, then you hit it in the right direction. So it says to us, can you not see that you are birthed into a place in the pattern of God's creation, or that you not only can know, but have always known of this place? This is not a place of physical form, but a place of holiness, which is a place of love. An integral place in the pattern that is oneness with God. It is a place you have never left, but that you long for, believing that you know it not. Your life here is much like a search for your story. Your life here is a search for your story. I like that. Where will this, in other words, where will this chapter lead? Right?
Right.
What will the end be like? It was like, I know it's a trip. It's a trip. I know. It's like I know I turned it on. And then our phones get like getting it on or something. It's like
What will the next ring bring?
I'll say it again. What will the end be like? I bet you everybody in here at some point in time have wondered who show up at your funeral.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like whether it be many people that'll come, or if anybody would come. Well, I'm here to assure you that you'll get a chance to find out. Because you'll be there looking at them. Okay. You just won't be in a body. But you'll get a chance to check it out. Okay. The once we realize that we're spiritual beings and that we are expressing through physical bodies, then everything begins to fall into place. We have bodies, but we're more than our bodies. We're love. And love is beyond the body. But the body is one way we can exchange it. So it says, where will this chapter lead? What will the end be like? Was one event a mistake and another a blessing in disguise? You seek to know your story's table of contents, or at least a brief outline.
Yes.
Where does your life fit in the larger picture? And yet you realize that, like reading a story, when the end is reached and all is known, the story is over, except in memory and reflection and perhaps in speculation. Now, what might a sequel reveal? Okay? So this viewing of your life as a story is what you do. We view our life as if it's a story. And then it says, you spend each day in review or speculation. Like I'm reviewing what happened to me earlier in the day. I'm wondering what's going to happen to me tomorrow. What has happened and what will happen next. We act like it's a story, like it's a serial adventure. You attempt to rewrite previous chapters. You attempt to cast all the parts and plan all the events of the next. That's exactly what we do. You know, I'm going to rewrite what happened to me in the past. I'm going to decide who's going to make me happy. And then I'm going to try to make everybody play the role that I've decided they should play in order to make me happy. And that's where all the problems come in. I decide what's going to make me happy, then I assign roles to everybody around me and what part they should play. And if they don't do what I think they should be doing to make me happy, then I'm full of resentment and grievances. So in most cases, people are just angry because everybody else is not acting out their script. That's what anger really is, ultimately.
So if you're a control freak,
You're talking about somebody else, right?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
how do you neutralize that?
Well, since I'm a control freak, one of the ways that that I neutralize that desire to be in control is for me to recognize that the control that I'm looking for comes from letting go of my control. Because the only reason why I'm trying to be in control is because I'm trying to force an outcome that I'd like to have. So if you can show me how I can get the outcome that I want by letting go of my control and learning how to trust and follow guidance, then I'd be willing to let go of the control. Because the control is just a form of fear anyway. It's just me being afraid that it's not going to go the way that I think I need it to go in order for me to feel safe. So if I can get in touch with something greater than myself that I learned how to trust in and listen to, then I'm going to surrender the control because I'm trusting that what I've given the control up to is better able to do it than I'm able to do it.
Yeah.
So it's you practice it. So it's like a practice that you start to work on. And also remember that, another thing is to remember that the things that you are experiencing right now is a result of your control. Like everything that you're not liking, that you wish you were different, that's happening as a result of your being in control of things. So one of the ways to let it go is to be honest with yourself about the results of your life with you being in control of it. Like if you would honestly look at the results, you'd be glad to let go of your control in terms of your having any kind of a permanent happiness. And to realize that control is a form of fear. It's a form of lack of trust. And so what I need to do is learn how to let go of every block in my mind that keeps me from being able to hear my inner guidance. See, all of us have inner guidance. All of us have divine guidance. All of us have a link to our source for ourselves. But we don't listen to it because we're listening to the voices of the world. We're listening to what we learned in the world. So when our real self speaks to us, we don't even hear it because we're not even used to paying attention to our own divine self. And so all these type of spiritual paths, all they're doing is trying to make us aware that we're not alone and that we have guidance, and the only reason why we're not happy is because we're not listening to the truth in ourselves. That you can't be miserable and really be listening to your real self. You're only miserable because you're listening to a voice that you made up or a voice that the world gave you. Does that make any sense? You know, so yeah, I don't know if that was helpful or not, but remember, just like you learn to be in control, then you also have to learn how to let go of control. So even if I tell you that it's about trusting in something greater than yourself and allowing yourself to let go of control, then you have to have some type of a spiritual path or discipline that teaches you how to do that. So it's not like something that you're going to be able to do just because I told you about it. So it really is going to take you asking what is it that appeals to me that I feel like I would be willing to pay attention to that would teach me right now. Like in my case, it's the Course of Love and the Course of Miracles. So if I'm trying to change myself, I go to what does my curriculum say I should do when I'm angry and afraid and I'm jealous and I want to attack somebody. Well, within my spiritual curriculum, it's giving me ways to handle that and new ways to look at that, and then I would do what my curriculum said. So it's really important, if you're really at that point that you know you've had enough and you're ready for a change, it's really important for you to choose a spiritual path of some type. And don't try to teach yourself by yourself how you're going to do this. And the reason why you shouldn't is this. What you're going to do is the things that would really challenge you would be the things that you would overlook and not want to do as part of your path. And then the things you would want to do would be everything that you liked. So what you would do is you pick up this book and then you pick the things out of this book that you liked that didn't challenge you, and you haven't. Then you get that book and you pick out the things you liked and didn't challenge you. Then you pick up another book, and so what you've really done is stayed exactly the way you are, because there's nothing new that you really accepted that you didn't already accept and believe anyway. What you might want to pay attention to is what is it that you're reading and studying that you're feeling a lot of resistance to, because that means you're hearing something new and something opposite to what you normally believe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Earl, one thing that's helped me is you said, would you rather be right
Or would you
rather be happy? And I know with controlling, that has really helped me a lot. I mean, it's just so simple, but it's so true. Would you rather be right or be happy?
Y'all have a deep discussion. I'll be right back. Here's the thought. What is it that I've heard tonight? This one thing I've heard tonight that I'd like to remember is. Big follow through on me.
All right.
Well, that's
I really like
so
the
much.
part on the idea, and he said something about like creating a masterpiece. I'm an artist, so it's like that idea. Like I'm part of an idea that created creativity, and that if I get out of my own way and let my idea flow with the original idea, like the masterpiece that I have the power and control of creating, and the brilliance and the light that comes out of that is just totally spoke to my heart in so many different ways.
Yes.
It was kind of off of what you were saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally agree.
Totally agree. We have the control to paint a beautiful picture of ourselves.
All right. One thing I want to remember is I'm an idea in the mind of God, and I'm an idea, and I was created from an idea. So what I want to do is start extending the ideas that I want to receive and I want to experience. If it's my beliefs that's creating my experience, then I want to focus on the beliefs that are the most life-giving. How do I get past my negative thoughts? I see my negative thoughts as a request for the opposite. I'm feeling afraid. That's a call for love. I feel conflict. That's a call for peace. I feel lack. That's my call for abundance. I feel sick. That's my call for health. So what I'm doing is taking whatever the so-called negative feeling and emotion, and I'm interpreting it as a request for the very opposite. And that's how you draw it to you. So then you get to the point that when you're afraid, you attract loving people to you. You're in conflict, the answer would come. Because you're changing your conflict into a prayer. You're changing your fear into a prayer. I feel angry is my request for peace instead of attack. So now when I feel angry, I recognize that's my deep, 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 deep desire for peace. But I'm calling it anger. And then I remind myself that the anger is coming from a script that I've made up about how things should be. And what's really making me mad is that somebody's not acting out my script. That's what all anger is. It's somebody not acting out your script in an attempt to make you or somebody else feel guilty enough to act out your script.
And that person can be you.
If they allow
Yeah, if it can, definitely it can be you.
If feeling less
them. If they
than,
allow them.
I witnessed it or felt I'm not acting the way I want to act. I'm not playing the part in the play that I had envisioned.
Right.
So son of a bitch, this sucks.
Well, that's you being mad at yourself.
It's me getting mad at myself.
Yes, you get mad at yourself.
Which
I'm not acting out my own
snowballs
freaking script.
That's right.
That's the thing about when you get to be around 40 years old. That's when you start to get in touch with whether or not your script is pretty much going the way that you thought it was going to go.
True. Yeah. True.
You know, it's at that point that you have to get like this really honest reality check of how much that you've accomplished that you said you were going to accomplish at an early age, and how much do you need to alter your course and your perception. You know, if you're really smart, you get into the point that you realize that your happiness isn't going to come from anything outside of yourself anyway, that your happiness is going to come from the way you're seeing things yourself from within yourself. So you get off. So then you'll make the decision that you're going to look at things differently because you know the way that you feel is coming from the way you look at things and not because of what you have. So then you realize that the secret to happiness right now is based on how you are seeing things right now and not on what you have right now. Because your ego is going to always set it up that your happiness is always based on something that you don't have that's a little out of reach, that you'll have it after you get that thing. And that's a form of self-punishment because that's you always holding off your own happiness to some unknown date in the future. And why would you do that unless you were punishing yourself? Why wouldn't you let yourself be joyful now? So people who aren't ready to let themselves be happy now are always full of things that's going to happen later. And when that thing happens, then they're going to feel great. And that's really just them punishing themselves until someday in the future. Because you got that intervening time between when you say you want it and when you say it's going to happen, and you say it's got to happen way in the future. Well, then what you're going to be doing during all this intervening time? that's the time you letting yourself not be happy, because you said your happiness is not going to happen until that point in the future. So future happiness looked at correctly is a form of self-punishment.
I want it now.
Right. What a conscious being is saying is, how do I need to look at this? What would be the way for me to look at this situation that would allow me to have peace right now? What would it take for me to have the kind of peace that I want to have on my job to show up in ways beyond my wildest imagination right now? What would it take for me to change my mind about my relationship with my partner right now in ways beyond my wildest imagination? Someone who's ready to be happy now, they're just asking for another way to look at whatever is happening right now, because they know that everything is an idea. And if they allow themselves to give themselves new ideas, they know they're going to have a new physical reality. Okay, and so the people in your life presently are going to do three things. Either the people, when you change, there are some people in your life that's going to change with you because they also are making the same change. There are going to be people in your life who will leave you at that point when you start to change, because they need someone to play the role you used to play for them that you're not playing anymore. And then there's the third group, which is you just choosing out of the relationship because you know it no longer serves. So in some situations, you're just going to go, you're innocent, you're really cool, but you're heading in a different direction from the direction I'm heading in right now, so I'm going to have to choose out of this situation right here. You're innocent, I'm innocent, you're beautiful, I'm beautiful. And then there are going to be some people that's going to go, oh, that Earl, he's gotten really weird right now, so I can't hang out with him no more. That's really some freaky stuff he's doing. You see what he's doing? Then they're going to like back off. And then there are going to be others that are going to go, you know what? I've been feeling the same way that you feel. It's time for me to wake up. It's time for me to do my life differently. I'm ready to have a more positive reality. I'm ready to love myself more. I'm glad to see you gotten involved with something like that. Can I come with you and check out what you're doing? And so you got to be okay with letting everybody go and not trying to hang on to anybody when you're ready to go to your next level of joy. And you'll find that the new people that come into your life will be a lot easier to get along with, and they'll love you a lot more because they won't be bringing your past into the present, because they only know you the way you've just shown up. Right. So you won't have to be constantly trying to get their okay about every move that you make and explain yourself. And then the ones who did stick with you, well, they're in the process of change too, so they're totally okay with you going through some kind of a change. So that doesn't mean all your old friends won't be there. They'll be like rooting for you. And then some people, they're going to be so threatened by what you're doing that they try to keep you in some form of conflict with them all the time, and you might just have to say, you know what, I'm going to have to choose for something different right now. But you're really cool, but I'm going to have to do something really different. Now, if you really want to run them away quickly, all you have to do is appreciate them.
Right. Yeah, right.
If you really want to move somebody out really quickly, who's judging and condemning your growth, which means at some level they don't recognize the truth yet. People who really haven't gotten to that point that they're ready to love themselves yet cannot handle appreciation. They cannot handle acknowledgement. It scares them to death. Wow. They move away from people who appreciate them, because their story is that nobody appreciates them. So really, the more loving you are, you actually repel people who would attack you and hurt you, and you draw people to you who appreciate where you're coming from. So you really don't have to put anybody out your life. They'll just leave if their vibration is very different from yours. Right. And so you won't be attracting the stuff that you used to attract. And that's how you become safe in the world. Your own consciousness and your own vibration is more of a protection than any police department. You simply wouldn't attract it to you because of who you are. And if you did attract something, you would have new ways that you have learned to look at it so you could handle it better. Because you are love. You are not alone. There was something in you that brought you here tonight, and it certainly wasn't a part of you that didn't believe you deserved to hear about your power and your right to be happy, and the fact that you deserve to be happy, because that's all I've been talking about. So it certainly wasn't a part of you that didn't love you that brought you here. So then it becomes, do I want to support this idea? Not me. Do I want to support this idea, or do I want to keep supporting the old ideas that don't get me in touch with my power? So you are a powerful, beautiful, incredible idea. in the man of God. Would you acknowledge yourself for doing that much? You. Marry me. All right. Now, we are one. We are one. We are one.
I'm telling you.
I'm gonna do. I want to thank you for sharing. We're gonna do a love offering. Take a breath. Are you not ready to listen to a new voice? Are you not ready to listen to a new voice? Are you not ready to listen to a new voice? Are you not ready to listen to a new voice? I am ready to listen to a new voice. I am ready to listen to a new voice. I am ready to listen to a new voice. What? I am ready to listen to a new voice. Take a breath. Can you let the worries of today leave your mind? Can you let the worries of today leave your mind? I can let the worries of today leave my mind. I can let the worries of today leave my mind. I can let the worries of today leave my mind. I can let the worries of today leave my mind and breathe. Can you let the disappointments of yesterday go and be no more? Can you let the disappointments of yesterday go and be no more? I can let the disappointments of yesterday go and be no more. Now, why are we saying this? We're saying this as a symbol of our willingness to let it go. So when you say these things, it's you backing up the thought with some kind of action that shows you have a willingness to see it another way. So can you let the disappointments of yesterday go and be no more? I can let the disappointments of yesterday go and be no more. Can you let the planning for the future just for a moment cease? I can let the planning for the future cease. Be here right now. Don't think about the past. Don't think about the future. Don't think about the gone. Don't think about the not yet. That's the past and the future. Past means gone. Future means not yet. Past means gone, and future means not yet. So when you say you want to be happy in the future, you're saying you want to be happy in the not yet. I want to be abundant in the not yet. I'm ready to have that right relationship in the future means I'm ready to have that right relationship in the not yet.
Wow.
I remember that person that I used to love in the gone. I'm remembering the gone when I'm thinking about the past. I'm remembering the gone. So how much of your day is spent remembering the gone and the not yet, and not the here and the now? So remind yourself, I am loving and lovable. I am loving and lovable. Even if I don't believe it, I am loving and lovable. Even if I've been treated like that's not true, I am loving and lovable. I am juicy Hey, I am juicy. I am juicy
And fruit.
and sweet. I am juicy and sweet. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Holy Spirit. My God. Plugs are available, and may the course be with you. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming. And just pick up one of these sheets if you're interested.
What's that?